We don't have to cast. So we are in 2-match-1 here in this best of 3. Let's introduce our players. Starting in the top right, here are Pillars of Gold playing for Team Rotti, the blue Terran player from España. It's Ruben.
I thought you were going to go for it. I was looking forward to it.
I was thinking about it.
Next game. In the bottom left, representing Cosmos Esports, it is SortOf. Now, do you have any idea whose map pick this is? I would guess SortOf. I would guess SortOf. You know, TVZ on this map, I mean, when it's nice and big like this, you got to imagine the Zerg players are in heaven. Now, I don't know how I feel about... I'm not really sure how these players feel about this matchup. You know, does SortOf like ZVT? Does Ruben like TVZ?
We really messed it up.
We should get this down. So I'm trying to...
Aqueron.
It's a weird E though, right?
Yeah, one of you can either go softy or hardy. I think we can get away with either of those. We just can't say the U because then he beats us up.
Aqueron.
I
feel like I'm getting farther away from it, to be honest.
Yes, so do I. We'll just say Aqueron. Screw it. We're saying it how we want it.
Okay, all right,
Brexit means Brexit.
Okay, I gotcha. Now, I feel like on a map like this, especially in a scenario where it's, you know, two players that I would say SortOf is the slight favorite, but I feel like stylistically you could almost say Aqueron maybe doesn't play as similar as some of the other Terrans, and I think, you know, the first map when you're in like a situation where it really could go either way, the first one just to get the stress off your back, I feel like it's gonna be huge.
Yeah, I definitely think it's super important as well. I'm interested to see what SortOf does. I've been seeing a lot of Zergs at the moment in this tournament who have been going for like a third queen before they put their third down, which I find mental. So they're getting the third at like closer to 3 minutes and at, you know, the 2:30, 2:40 mark. So far everything though super normal here. Everything's at home. Reactor going on to the barracks, factory coming down, do it for the old swippity swappity. Second gas being added here by our Terran player. We'll just do Terran. We'll just do tasteless.
Just call him the blue Terran, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just call him Team Rotti. And then
it's been Rotti.
You know, I do wonder how he feels. I mean, it's obviously always thrilling to join a new team. It's always a little bit hard when you join a new team. You know, maybe you put a little bit extra expectations on yourself that you didn't have before. You're a little extra pressure, And I mean, I'm rooting for him to do well because I know Rotti, you know, takes these guys under his wing, and I'm sure, you know, we are our own hardest critics, so I'm sure he's gonna feel worse about, you know, poor performance more than anyone else. But it is tough when you join a team sometimes. Reaper jumping in, just getting a little bit of scouting in. Is it gonna suicide? No. It's gonna be
too good.
Hey, okay, yeah, I will say we see the fast queen again, I believe, right? Yes, and it's always interesting in StarCraft how after X amount of time you just come across something that becomes meta, and it's like, why were we not doing this before? And I do kind of like this earlier, faster queen. You're less punished if you don't get the third down right away. You get your creep spread out a little bit faster. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's super safe too, right? Especially if you are going to be playing against a player who maybe has a bit more to prove and is maybe going to look to be a bit more aggressive, maybe a bit more decisive. SortOf, I think if the game goes long, probably would be favoured. He spent like a million years in Korea at this point. You see a couple of units getting caught out. And I was saying this yesterday, he's never hit that stride that all the other pros see in him. Like, you see him on ladder, he's like top of, or doing very well on Korean ladder, but he can never quite translate into tournaments. And this is one of those events now where it's getting to the stage where he kind of has to, shit or get off the pot, right? He's got to make something happen.
And it's tough when you have that expectation where you know people expect you to be something, and all of a sudden you go from this player that maybe was an up-and-comer and everyone's like, well, SortOf's gonna be good, and after a certain period of time you don't take that place that people were giving you. It becomes weird because, you know, when you're in Aqueron spot, you're kind of in the reverse where it's, you know, you're the up-and-comer. There's not much pressure on you because you know, you got to the dance, you should prove that you were good enough to be here, but no one's really expecting you to go incredibly far. So if you can really turn some heads and make a name for yourself when you're the underdog. Now, we do see a lot of Hellions here on the south side looking for some damage. Queen's trying to chase him away, only getting maybe one drone there and falling off. Just a little bit of a early game TBZ dance, as we normally have.
I like what he's going for, though, because he's kept all of his units alive, and now the Liberator coming across the map is going to pull the Queens out of position. That's the plan of this, right? You pull the Queens out because they're the only thing that can deal with this Lib, and then you go in with the Hellions and the Reaper and go for some damage. Very, very nice Spore placement, though, here from the Swedish Zerg player is going to mean that we don't even get to see the siege up here of the Liberator, and now the Reapers are going in for that deep dive and the Hellion even, and nothing really found there to get things kicked off here for the Terran. It's in my head.
Just very good defense from SortOf there. The good rerouting as well on the Spore Prowler. Instantly, just not even a sweat there. Just wasn't even able to see, just taking half damage. And just a clean defense for sure. He's going to feel very safe to go up to that drone count he likes. Of course, nothing too crazy from Aqueron. He's got his third base up. He's still got the Hellions alive. It's not like he's thrown them away into a queen grinder, but I do like the spot for SortOf a little bit more. Of course, he's getting to that upgraded Ling Bane that is pretty meta right now, or even just heavy Ling right now, but good upgrades for SortOf so far. And just getting into that mid-game TVZ that we all know and love. That's so fabled. People always, as a Protoss player, I'm like, I like all the Protoss matches, but everyone loves TVZ.
Yeah,
this is what the people came to see.
Smalian versus Predator stuff, I don't know. Yeah, and I'm starting to get a little bit worried here from Terran player because he hasn't found any economical damage at all. Now, SortOf hasn't powered up massively to like 80 drones yet, but he's starting to get real close as 6 more about to pop, putting him closer to that 70 mark. And if he can get to 80 plus drones, it's going to be really difficult. This drop though, this is nice. This is a good start. He's found a really nice choke point here. Ling's coming in. They have some upgrades. This is just before 1-1, or we would have seen a slightly different trade there for our Terran player. But that was good, Supply is still very, very even here. And despite everything, Aqueron really hasn't lost anything. Resources lost. He's lost 6 Marines, a Lib, a Viking, and a Hellion. It's not much. So he's starting to get a pretty hefty army on the go.
Yeah, you can live with that if you're him. Now, hey, we'll be interested to see how he ends up playing the later stages of this game. The Marines trying to find some damage with the Queens of Lings. Just going to shoot away. Because in TVZ right now, you do have, right now we see the tanks being the choice for Aqueron, but you do see that heavy Widowmine late game. We'll see exactly how late game they want to go. I mean, we see we see 2-2 started up, so, nothing too crazy. Not going to be some massive push, but is it going to be 8 racks? Is he going to consider going for a massive 3 base? Oh, no, I guess we got the 4th base already coming. Just pushing the some creep right now. The Marines, I like this. The creep spread is not that far out for how many Queens SortOf has right now. Getting an okay little trade in, and not bad for Aqueron right here.
Yeah, we see a couple of Hydras coming into the mix yet, but we've not seen that Lurker Den go down, which I find slightly surprising. I thought that's the direction we'd be looking at going here. Infestation Pit coming in as well, and double expansion here. Is that a macro hatch as well? Okay, yeah, so a macro hatch and an expansion here. But, I mean, Aqueron's really started to build up a bit of an army. We can see that Drilling Claws is coming in. 2-2 halfway done is going to give him the upgrade advantage, as our Zerg is only single upgrading despite having double Evo chambers. That has to be a mistake, right?
I would think so. We do see this big push come in, a couple siege tanks. I'm not sure he actually wants this, maybe just forcing out not as many drones. This army is still got a lot of army at home, and you really don't want to take a massive game-losing fight right before you really ramp up to these Widow Mines, to your 2-2. But he's still feeling a little bit courageous, wanting just a little bit more creep, and we do see a big counterattack coming across the map right now at the same time. SortOf gonna find nothing here, actually. Nice defense.
These upgraded Widow Mine's an absolute nuisance. He doesn't have the super mega quick burrow just yet. It makes every player in the world wince, but he's starting to really hit a stride here. As we said, 2-2, probably 30 seconds off here. Widow Mine production, as you sort of predicted, coming in the later the game goes. And we've had a bit of a, it's been slow in terms of starting here. Now we see Baneling trying to push off creep. This is very ambitious from our Zerg player. Widow Mine's now going to see if they can get the connections, and they do. Some great connections. So many Marines left standing.
Yeah, but when it all said and done, I mean, some of the Widow Mines straight up, but that was a lot of Banelings. Not sure I love the trade for SortOf. And also, I gotta say, I do think it's a bit of a mistake. His upgrade's starting to lack for SortOf, as well as 3-3 going to be starting up soon. And SortOf's income is not that explosive 90 drone, 95 drone you see sometimes. It's only at 74. I'm actually really liking this spot for our Terran player.
Yeah, Aqueron's doing a great job of defending in every direction too. He's not taking damage from these counterattacks. Again, this is a lot of Banelings off of creep, and any good Terran that's been playing the Morrow split simulator will hit those splits. You can see here, maybe 2 Banelings get the connection, but Hydra's going down. Nothing is working right now for SortOf, and Aqueron's taken a supply lead. He's even almost on workers. He's way ahead in upgrades, although his +3 armor not yet started, giving maybe SortOf the way back into this as things go, but still.
There was a counterattack at the same time that did snipe the 4th base. Not many workers go down, so a little bit of a win from SortOf, but it was a pretty poor fight for him on the right-hand side. A lot of Banelings went down, as you said. And now that 4th base going down might be the move where Aquerion's like, I'm just going to attack now. I mean, you threw away a lot of army, you threw away a lot of Banelings, and I have a strong army. And I don't think he's wrong. Now, he is on creep, so this could be good for SortOf. A lot of Banelings morphing, trying to find the right trades. The Widow Mines, there are so many Widow Mines and 4 siege tanks in the back. The Banelings come rolling in, trying to find big damage, getting a lot of the Widow Mines early. This seems to be a cleanup for SortOf.
Yeah, there's not too many Banelings. Oh no, more Banelings rolling in. This is looking pretty good. And meanwhile, as this happens, we can see Aqueron still hasn't managed to reclaim that 4th. He's building one just outside. I do need to quickly say thank you, Rotterdam, for that host. We appreciate it, my man, with his boy playing. That's very kind of you. And we can see now, it looks like SortOf wants to go for a bit of counter pressure, but he doesn't have enough left. The Ling count specifically is pretty low. There's a lot now coming to reinforce. There's still a lot of Widow Mines here, actually.
Yeah. That was a pretty costly fight for Aqueron. I mean, he lost a lot of his Widow Mines, and he lost all of his tanks as well, or maybe saved 1 tank. The Widow Mines are really the big key at the end here. But, you know, it's not too bad. He only has +3 attack on the way. I would like to see that +3 armor fire up sometime soon. And he is going to reestablish the 4th base, so definitely not the end of the world for Aqueron. But I do think he did have his window. I think he was right that his army was pretty strong there. And the fight just didn't get right for him on creep. A little ragtag army up here, trying to find some damage. Not going to find much, and we're getting back to even here, I believe.
Ultralisk Cavern, yeah, on the way here for SortOf. And that sort of puts a bit of a timer here on our Terran player, because he really isn't producing anything that's going to be great against those, right? He has 1 Marauder. He has a couple of tanks, which Unsiege can do a bit, but we do have a fight going down here to the right-hand side. It looks like Aqueron's going to be able to push this back. Some Banelings will get picked off. Supplies now, both players sitting at maxed upgrades, though. It's a bit ragtag, right? +2, +1 for our player. +3, +2 for our Terran, who did forget that armor upgrade. Another counterattack is going to take the 4th down again, and that's a big win now for the Zerg.
Yeah, you know, as much as we've been praising some of Aquerion's moves, as he is chasing an army down on the right-hand side, and there is... Oh, nice turnaround there. But it's really sort of preparing himself on both sides. When he has this army on the right-hand side that maybe doesn't take a good engagement, it's actually setting him up for the left-hand side. I would like to see Aqueron try to adapt, and maybe the next couple games of the series... Maybe try to get that game sense where he realizes, okay, if there's only a handful of units on the right-hand side, he's setting up for that counterattack on the 4th base like he likes to do. But again, Aqueron sensing he has a strong army, and he does have +3, +2, and this is sitting right before those Ultra upgrades are kicking in, so maybe he can find the timing. I mean, I do believe it is right now for him before these Ultras come out. It's a lot of Marines. There are a handful of tanks, a handful of Widow Mines. He's going to look for the push right now.
How many Banelings currently on the field? 39, a very healthy number. We see 1 Ultra on the way, the 1 Swarm Host that every Zerg makes accidentally also on the way. It does look like SortOf is looking for that big Cyril-esque 360 flank that we see so much these days. And now here he comes rolling in. Banelings to the left, Banelings to the right, and to the north. Everything going down. It looks like SortOf is just taking a great fight here. Completely cleans up his opponent behind this 5 Ultras. Titanus plating nearly done. Things are looking pretty bad for Aqueron, who has managed to snipe a base, though.
But at the end of the day, takes a massive fight loss, and just a beautiful engagement from SortOf. Again, I don't hate the move from Aqueron. I think his army was all right. I think there was definitely potential for him in that spot, but big map like Pillars of Gold, maybe on a map where there is a little bit easier choke to engage into, but SortOf just being patient, getting that big surround, and a very nice fight. And I do think that's going to set him up to take game 1. I mean, we got 6 Ultras, and we just see only 1 Marauder to save the world on the production tab, and I'm not sure if we're going to have Aqueron much longer in this game. We do see SortOf sensing that he took a big fight win. We see just a couple of units, but that's the Swarm Host though. That's not...
I mean, if the Widow Mines get perfect connections, maybe onto the Ultra, It does chunk it down a good amount. There is a tank in the back. The load up, I think there was an accident. One Ultralisk does go down. The Planetary is under fire, though. Repairs coming in. Hydra's just firing on it. Actually, it looks like Aqueron is going to be able to push this back. Sensor Tower will remain alive for now, and Aqueron instantly loading up. He's going to look for a drop. There's so many lings. SortOf's vision is just redonkulous.
Yeah, I like this decision from Aqueron, knowing that he did just deflect an attack. Maybe he can go find some damage across the map, because he is feeling a little bit pressured. His worker count's not great anymore. Sort of. His army's bigger. His economy's better. Really, it kind of stemmed off that 4th base going down, because even his 3rd base is mining out. Now even these 3 Ultras and Lings is going to be a bit of an issue for Aqueron to deal with. And the Lings cleaning up this drop on the south side. These are Lings with adrenal glands. They are very strong. They are very powerful. And late game looking pretty strong for SortOf right now.
Yeah, despite all of that, Aqueron is doing a good job of stabilizing. He needs to get himself to max, and he knows it. The Marauder count is rocketing forward now, with 4 being produced at a time. Concussive shells finally being added as well, just to slow down some of those Hydra, Lings, Banes, things like that. We can see, though, our Zerg player is really in a good spot. Upgrades, he is now starting his +3. We still have no +3 armor here for Aqueron, who has definitely made a mistake in that regards. But, I mean, what base does SortOf not have? There's like 3 bases on the map he doesn't have, right? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And the bases that are mining for Aqueron are not good. There's all three of them are not great mining. We do have a fight, but the Widow Mine's not really helping him there. Taking down a few of his Marines, the Ultra's getting a couple swipes in, and this drop is started before it, or finished before it even begins. I will say, really, the issue is the economy now. I mean, yes, the supplies are getting closer because, you know, he's mining out and he doesn't have as much workers, but at the same time, the strength of army, the bank, and just, yeah, his 2 bases are mined out, and the 3rd base also almost mined out. So I don't love the situation in Oak. Looks like the drop can end up. And we do see the push finally coming in. The Ultras, the Hydralisk, the Banelings trying to find some damage, but even SortOf is like, well, you don't even have any workers here. I'm just going to run away. And the main lifting off to the 3rd, SortOf looks at it and is like, well, I think I can let that land.
We have a couple of Marauders firing some pot shots at this big space cow as it trundles away here, but everything for SortOf right now is looking pretty good. He's adding on his Spire. His 3-3 is getting closer and closer to being done. Finally, our Terran player realizes if he gets his armor upgrade and adds that one in. More Widow Mines being produced, more Medivacs being produced. Aqueron is going to get close to being maxed, but I just cannot figure out how he ever pushes back the force of a SortOf. I mean, once again, the 4th base under duress here.
Yeah, nice hit squad here again. Couple Ultras trying to find the damage to the Hydras. Both sides from SortOf, as we've seen all game, just pressure on both ends. And we do see a hold on one end, but the one hold on one end is not a hold on both ends, and SortOf finds a win on the left-hand side. And this is one of his healthier mining bases, and another pretty successful attack by SortOf. Aqueron knows it. GG. You know, I feel like if I'm Aqueron, I'm not too upset about that game, because to me, he was making a lot of right moves, making a decent number of decent fights, but it was just a couple wins, and he took that one bad fight on SortOf's creep where there was a big surround and a lot of the Widow Mines went down. That kind of gave SortOf the footing he needed to reclaim that game, but a close one.
Yeah, I think you can definitely, if you're Aqueron, moving on now to his map pick, Golden Wool, you'll feel a little bit more comfortable. That certainly looked like a map that was very fleshed out and considered of SortOf. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew he wanted to play it slow, get to that big army, and just win the game. It's very difficult to beat a Zerg in that position. The counterattacks were something he couldn't deal with, and it's slightly more difficult, I think, on Golden Wall. You can swing around to the north if the bottom side isn't opened up, but I think it's easier to keep your army between the bases and defend. We are now going to be moving into map 2, as we said, on Golden Wool. If you were the coach right now of Aqueron, what would you say? What advice would you give him?
Well, first I'd be happy because I'm Roddy all of a sudden.
Yeah, boy.
And I would say just stay true to yourself. I think sometimes when you lose a game, you can get psyched down in your head. Maybe you think your opponent knows your style. Maybe you feel like they beat your style. I think you just got to play your game, play what you know, and realize that you had some real chance last game. You took a lot of good fights in the other game. A lot of the small skirmishes went Aquerion's way. It was just maybe the big fight didn't go his way. And I would like to see how he handles late game TVZ on more even footing. I think once they got from the mid to the late game, SortOf was just kind of almost out of control, a little bit too far ahead. And I think maybe where they're both on even footing, Aqueron might be able to find a bit more success. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, for now, we'll quickly introduce the players. In the left, leading the series, representing Cosmos Esports and Sweden, the Red Zerg player, it's SortOf.
On the right-hand side, making me rethink everything I know about his name. It is Team Roddy's Aqueron / Ruben / Aqueron /
Aqueron. A man of many names, many talents.
I like calling him Aqueron, so it's kind of tough that there's this new element, you know?
Do you know what? Right. You're M Cannon. You can call him what you want. As my dog
That's
decides
true.
to go for a run.
You know, the thing about my name is like, so it's technically my brother's name. So it's like initials. It's like M. Canning. So it's like it really technically is M Canning, but I really don't mind anyway you spell it. Sometimes I see like McCanning, or not. McCanning's common, but like sometimes I'll see like one C and like 3 N's, and I'm like, do you even know how to spell my name? But either way, this is not the me show. This is SortOf versus Aqueron. You know, this is a map I feel like that's gonna. If we saw a very similar game to last game, I actually like Aquerion's spot because I think you'd be able to find the chokes, find the engagement, find that big push. Because I think we can both agree there was that one push where he took a bit of a win as a fight and he lost his 4th base, but you know there was still more units traded out, and I actually liked his army more than SortOf's. But then he has to go all the way across Pillars of Gold onto creep. Whereas on a map like this, you know, you can find a ramp, you can find a choke, and maybe you can take that fight that takes him to game 3.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. One thing for Aqueron that I hope he gets right this time is we may have even seen a different game if his upgrades were doubled up and on time, right? Forgetting that upgrade, it is a big mishap. You can see here that SortOf seems to be going for the same opening with a 3-minute third instead of that 2:30 third. Just one of those new things that slipped into the meta. Speed on the way, couple of teams, 4 lings, just to keep everything safe from Mr. Reaper. As he now comes across here, I don't expect to see any big changes from Aqueron. I think he is an honourable macro Terran. He's not going to, you know, suddenly drop down 3-4 gateways off of 2 bases. Gateways? God.
That'd be impressive. That would be
sick.
I would like to see how they play this map. You know, we went from Pillars of Gold to Golden Wall. So we'll see exactly, you know, gold is in the cards right now. I think on a map like this, you know, we'll see if, you know, either player thinks about taking these bottom bases or where the expansions lie. I mean, for Aqueron, I think it's more acceptable for him to go to the south side bases, you know, maybe mine out. Whereas SortOf maybe it gets a little bit more awkward taking that south base. But things can get pretty weird and pretty frisky on this map. And be interesting to see how they use that gold base and when they use that gold base, if we get there.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of like 2-base Mutalist play on this map. I don't think SortOf's going for that with no gases down on his natural just yet. But it's really like, especially because a lot of Terrans have been taking the gold, it makes it very easy to harass with Ling Run guys in front and Mutas in the back, drawing the army out of position. SortOf doesn't seem like he will be going for that. His lair is on the way. It's a little bit late here for a very quick Spire. And he is in double gases, actually. I think we will see Mutalist play out of SortOf before the game is out, but I could also be talking a lot of shit.
No, I mean, I like your call. You just gotta stay with that confidence. Definitely Mutas this game, guys. 100%. You can count on Mutas. Now, I think, you know, on a map like this, it makes sense. It's kind of like when you're as a Protoss player, you think, well, do I go Stargate here? Because there's so much dead space in the between the 2 main bases that you feel like I can't really clean things up cleanly without Mutalisks. We'll see if he actually decides to go for him. Very similar to last game, we see the Hellions and the Reaper, just looking for a little bit of damage, and we look like we have a battlecruiser coming out. Yeah,
we're gonna see a little bit of something different here from Aqueron. Gonna open with that battlecruiser. I don't think he's the kind of player who goes battlecruiser plus Yamato second starport and really commits to it. I also don't know if he'll go mech or bio behind this. It's kind of hard to tell just yet with the 3rd TC coming down sort of as expected. I imagine he will play bio. He is now dropping that tech lab onto his racks as well. Spire has come down here, so at least I get something right today from SortOf. More lings, more banelings, but the first battlecruiser is going to be hitting at a potentially decent time here. I don't think SortOf... Okay, he's flying in now. He will get an idea.
And the queen count up to 5, that's not too bad. And getting a nice full scout. Sometimes with battlecruiser really can snowball and get big damage done, but I think SortOf, you know, the battlecruiser has been seen. Hellions looking for damage across the map. It doesn't seem like they're going to find much. And it's one of those things where if you don't know how to handle Battlecruiser, even if you know what's coming, it can be very troublesome for the Zerg player. But someone like SortOf, so strong, the mechanics man, I do think he will handle this well. And we will see standard bio, which I do like. I think last game Aquerion's bio play was actually pretty good, and we do see the first Battlecruiser looking to find some damage, and there is one spawn position. I almost didn't see that. I was like, hold up. I'm going to see 1 drone, 2 drones, 3 drones coming down. Just nice little harass. Nothing too crazy, but maybe the start of something.
Yeah, SortOf doing a good job of keeping his army split up nicely here to deal with the potential of the run-by. We do see this Battlecruiser still very healthy, still has a lot of life left in it, and we have some movement coming in at the top side as well. Behind this, 4 Mutalisk are on the way, 1-1 coming in for our Terran player, so he is going to have an upgrade advantage for at least a couple of minutes, most likely. Do we even have Evo chambers yet? No. Wow. So it is just going to be pure Muta and upgrades towards them, it looks like.
I wonder if he is... How many Mutas he will actually go. What, is he going to mech?
No, is he thinking? He's sort of thinking it might be mech. Yeah, not getting any upgrades for Lings and Banes and things. No, just going mass Muta. It's something we do see a little bit against mech. You see here the Battlecruiser is in a bit of trouble. Blink's coming off a cooldown in around 5 seconds. It does look like it will probably be okay. Blink is now off cooldown. Treading against Mutas. Off he goes. Never in doubt. And the gold base taken here for Aqueron.
Yeah, I love this spot for him. You know, and the Hellions are still alive as well. And I think as well, the Battlecruiser gave him so much time, let him see the Mutalisks. Just a perfect situation for him, really gets the missile turrets up. And it is so many Mutas. Now we do see some Zerg upgrades coming in, +1 finally started. But again, I'm with you. I like Aquerion's spot here. And the drone count, not great for SortOf. And we have Aquerion on the gold base. So the income is going to be popping for him.
Yeah, because all these racks now, he's starting to produce a good chunk of Marines at a time. He's repaired up his Clout Bruiser, so that's once again a risk. This Queen is a bit far from home. What are you doing, love? There you go, waddle back. Acheron moving out now. He did just stick with the 1 Battlecruiser, didn't continue to add them on as we've seen players like Puss doing. That's typically more of a mech style, I do think. Nice snipes on some of these tumors here. Finally, the Mutalisk seems to be catching up with Acheron's fleet of run-by units, and going to be forced to go home. But I think we might see a push come pretty soon here from the Spaniard.
Yeah, I would not mind it. I will say it is truly mass Muta, and I'm just a little bit worried that, you know, the tanks, I'm not sure if we want to be transitioning into Widow Mines yet, but Aquerion knows what he's doing. Now, this Muta count is getting very high, and if you are not careful, and they can really overwhelm a mineral line, they can overwhelm, you know, the reinforcement units, and try to set up for a good follow-up. Now, we just see the Battlecruiser killing some creep, which I do like, but of course the Insta-Queens coming back out. Actually, just a reminder to respread creep as we see the VC getting pushed back, and you know, the creep is getting out there this game. I think actually last game with SortOf's Queen count, I thought the creep's going to be a little bit farther earlier in the game, and it actually kind of slowed down, so to see him getting it out there is not too bad. But again, the Mute is, as you said, on that gold base, trying to find that harass, going to find a handful of SCVs, and just like you said, it's very hard, very annoying place for those Mutas to be up there.
Yeah, you start to have to add on extra turrets and things like that, which is expensive, you know. So Aqueron's doing a good job of keeping all of his bio, or at least a chunk of bio at home. He loses a missile turret, but he's not going to take any real economic damage. And the thing with Mutalisks is, as the Marine count gets higher, the Mutalisk value drops, right? Like, they're just not that great against big clumps of Marines. You'd never want to fly over these bad boys, because you'd be in a lot of trouble. Aqueron is going to... Does he see this? Yes, he does. Tactic run-by. This is really nice, because it was like run-bys and counters into his other bases that killed him last game. He knows that's how SortOf's going to play, and he's adjusting, which I really like.
Yeah. Now, it is 8 racks for Aquerion, so this is going to be a massive 2-2 push. He is going to try to end the game here on 2-2. We don't see a 4th base in sight. He thinks this is his moment, and he has a very strong army, well upgraded. 2-2 will not be done in time for SortOf. As long as he takes the right engagement, takes it slow, doesn't allow those banelings to get big connections on these runes, I think I will really be liking this spot. But again, he has to push back this creep. We do see a fight starting out. The banelings, the Lings crashing in.
Mainly
okay trade, but yeah, Aquerion just smashes him back.
Yeah, and now taking a look at the baneling count, there's only 9 on the field, another 13 being made. But that's That's still really not that many. The tanks mainly standing strong. Only one went down, as most of the banelings did crash into the tanks and Hellbats. A couple of baneling eggs are going to be sniped here. Every baneling's so important. And Aqueron right now has an incredible position. His tanks are very well defended. He's got his flanks covered. The baneling nest is under duress here, and if that goes down, that is the main thing that's going to be able to deal with these Marines. And now we have Mutas flying in, banelings flying in. The Mutas absolutely melting. Has he done it?
This is it. The crisp 2-2 timing on on Golden Wall. We're going to map 3, and wow. I gotta say, I do actually like a lot how he played. He had the missile turrets in the main, he had the army in the main. He made sure not to take too much damage from those mutas, knowing I'm going for this 2-2 push. And I thought what SortOf was gonna do was he was gonna, try to maybe engage a little bit with the Ling Bane, try to just make those tanks siege up, stall them out. But then the trade was just not there in the start, and it was just too much of a bad trade for him to ever get back in, because the fight was in his natural by the time he wanted to regroup. So nice timing. I mean, we see the difference between, a map like Pillars of Gold and Golden Wall, where the push is just on you. And as you said, that tank position is really hard to deal with on that ramp, really hard to get a good engagement, and just a nice clean win there, honestly. I will be interested. It would be interesting to get SortOf's take on that, skipping his upgrades for a long time, going for fast mutas, but he was still in an okay position, but just sometimes all it takes is that bad fight. I think in game 1 we saw the reverse, where Aqueron, maybe his big main fight was not great. That we saw that the big main fight, well, wasn't really even much of a big main fight. It was just a bad start of a fight, and then it just cost him the entire game.
And now we move on to Death Aura, and talk to me about this map. Probably one of the more standard in the pool, in inverted commas, despite the speed zones. I think there's quite a lot of choke points, especially if those destructible rooks are not taken down. Generally a map we see in almost every series, because everyone likes it. So far today, it is in... Okay, so it wasn't in the TVT, that's a little bit different, but it will be in most of our series, it seems like. What's your thoughts, Uncanny?
I'm with you on that, and I think these two players especially would enjoy a map like this. It just feels like you have 3 or 4 bases somewhat safe. I mean, you got the choke points. And, as a Zerg player, yes, the 4 bases are somewhat free-ish, but it's still nice for you. You feel very comfortable on this map. And it is a map, I agree that most players are going to feel comfortable. You're not going to feel too worried about shenanigans on a map like this. And I would not mind to see maybe a little bit... This would not be an okay map to go mech, if he wants to bring it out. But I feel like his bio play has been pretty strong, and I actually think I'm favoring Aqueron. I actually think in game 1 he had some real chance there, and then game 2 I thought he also was playing pretty sharp, and I think this is going to be his series. I'm thinking he's going to take this game.
I feel like game 2, it's hard to pinpoint any mistakes that he made, right? He defended against the Mutalist really, really well. His battle cruisers didn't go down early. They found just a bit of damage, but never died even to the Mutas, which is a really good way of dealing with battle cruisers. His push was perfectly timed. He sieged up perfectly. He split well, really not taking damage to banelings. And if he's carrying that momentum forward now into map 3, we could be in for a treat.
Yeah, one thing I really like about Aqueron's play is sometimes... Well, it's a fine line, but what I've noticed he's done, at least in the first 2 games, is he does not throw away those Hellions in his Reaper in the early game. He just keeps it on the outskirts of creep. He never always dives it in and tries to find that big drone connection, but at the same time, he always keeps it around, on the edge of creep. Maybe that's the reason why the creep spread is not able to get out deep, and it's always a bit of a threat for SortOf. You're like, well, maybe I'll make an extra pair of links just in case. But in the top left, Team Roddy, the elite team. You want to be on this team. It's Team Roddy. It is the Spaniard, Aqueron, Ruben, the Blue Terran, whatever you want. He's got many handles.
And his opponent in the bottom right. Losing the last game, can he bring it back and take the series and prove that he's got what it takes, representing Cosmos Esports and Sweden? It's SortOf.
Now, I haven't looked at this. I got to relook at this group, but this actually could be an incredibly important swing match. Both these players, I imagine, are more of a cusp 4-3-ish. Yes. They're not going to be the top of the group. It won't be the bottom of the group. This is probably, in both these players' minds, almost a must-win if you want to get out of the group.
I agree.
So there is a lot on the line here.
Yeah, taking a look at the group, I will pull it up quickly. Here is my phone. This is how we do things. So, so in this group, we have, Hero Marine and a Laser currently at the top. I think they're both expected to go through, right? They're both currently 2-0. Aqueron and Marine Lord are currently both 1-0. Ephemeral, SortOf, Denver, and Cass. So I look at this group myself, and I think, okay, Cass is struggling a little bit currently. He's still really good, and he gets quite close, but he's just not quite there. I know Ephemeral has said he's not been able to practice very much, and he's not feeling in great form, but he's still Ephemeral.
Yeah, still favor. That's a tough group. I gotta say, it's a tough group for both these guys. But so yeah, if either of these want to get out, you gotta beat the opponent right here. And I will say there was a massive deep scout from SortOf making sure he was not getting proxy racks in this last game, which I do like. I think this is a map you can actually sneak a proxy racks and not too shabby. And you know, the last game, you never want to lose to a proxy rack. Just being a little bit safe. I mean, yes, does he lose some minerals doing a deep drone scout? Yes, but at the same time, it doesn't hurt sometimes. You know, it kind of reminds me where for a long time, I never, in the very beginning of a game, you know how some players will pull their workers to both sides, you know, really truly micro all their workers. I would never ever do that for the longest time. People are like, I'm kidding, why don't you do that? And I'd be like, well, is Showtime really winning or losing because of that early? But now that there's the 3-2-1 in the beginning of the game, I do that now. But it's always one of those things where it's like, guys, you don't have to do this. You know, it's like, my point being, sometimes taking a little bit of a risk or a little bit of a safety measure is not the end of the world for SortOf. Making sure he's not getting cheesed.
For me, if I nail my split in the beginning of the game, I know I'm going to win. It all comes down to that. That's what decides, win or lose. So I just leave if I get it right now.
But then you got, you got 3 probes not mining.
Yeah, they go behind, and you're like, this game's over. We call that the ground.
It's one of those things where, you know, the best players are so good at that type of stuff. Like, even worker harass in the beginning of a game, I think to myself, like, whenever I try to mineral harass my opponent with my scouter worker, my macro at home starts slipping. It's just never worth it.
I've got 800 minerals.
I'm just like, you know what, guys? I'm just not going to do this. You know, some players can do it. I'm just not one of those players. I'm sorry. Now, we do see a fast Roach Warren. I'm not sure if SortOf's made a Roach Warren in any of the other games.
No, he hasn't.
So this is... Actually, I don't mind this map for a little bit of Roach aggression. I'm not sure if he actually will be getting super... Oh, yeah, of course he will. Now, I feel like this is a great spot for Aqueron. We have Cloak Banshee as a follow-up here, which I think will be handling these Roaches pretty well. Now, we do not see the Scout on the Roach Warren, which is nice for SortOf. And I guess it will come down to if these Hellions can see it in time. But I feel like Banshee is a pretty good response. But again, it comes down to how many workers go down. Because a Banshee can shell away at your units all day long. But if they kill all your workers, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and I mean, the Roaches are going to be nice here for keeping everything back. But Aqueron, does he see this? Yeah, he caught it. Sorry. He actually keeping the hand. Yeah, well, it was right on the corner.
Okay, now he
definitely sees it. Yeah, so what's the answer going to be? He's building a CC in the front to complete the wall. That's cute. And the Banshee, you can see, is staying at home. He's actually going to go out and meet the Roaches, I think, and get that shell damage down early. This is by no means all in, though, by SortOf, right? He's still at 39 drones, continuing to drone up like crazy, and generally be annoying. In fact, the Roaches have gone home, right?
Yeah, I mean, it actually is the right call because there's 2 Banshees and you wouldn't be able to find anything done. Now, this is pretty frustrating for SortOf. I feel like, you know, game 1, game 2, you don't even go for a Roach Warren. Game 3, you think, okay, I'm going to get a little cheeky, I'm going to make 6 Roaches, and all of a sudden nothing gets done. But now, you know, it's funny because Aqueron now playing safe, but he's got his 3rd base up. So it's like, he's not really committed extra to this defense. He's got a 3rd base. There is a bit of a hole, which actually is good for Aqueron.
Quite nice, yeah.
Bit of a meek right now. He's going to plug the hole. Classic stuff. Now we see the Banshee coming across. It has Cloak. There are 2 Banshees out, right? Yes, there are 2 Banshees. Going to be probably pretty annoying for SortOf to handle. He's only up to 4 Queens. Doesn't have that nice Queen number, which will also impact his creep spread. Not going to be as clean as well. So all in all, a very nice early game for Aqueron. But as you said, not all in. Now the drone count is getting up. But I don't love the situation for him. I mean, everything's a little bit later. The worker count is okay-ish now, but the early Roaches don't really pan out, and Aquerion's just business as usual.
Yeah, and we're not seeing Mutalisks yet this game. If they are to come out, they're going to come out much later. The lair is done. And this is the best thing about Banshees, is being able to pick off 1 or 2 units, and also just get those gas mining drones as well. Transferring drones, maybe not. Yeah, one of them gets picked off here. Yeah, the other one's allowed. It's one has to live to tell the tale, you know. But these farm mining workers do go down, and now, you know, 6 workers, 7 workers. This isn't bad. especially if he can keep the Banshees alive, maybe pick off the Queen. This is really good. Oh, you could take this.
Yeah, I do like actually what's happening from both players right now. I mean, we see the worker count getting pretty good for SortOf. I'm not sure if we've missed some SCV cycles. I feel like Aquerion's worker count's a little bit low right now for where he was in this game, but I mean, not too bad. He's got 3 CCs, about to be mining 3 CC. I think both players have stabilized somewhat nicely. And now we do see a Spire. I was going to say, I wonder if it's going to be the heavy Ling Bane. I do think on a map like this, it's a little bit harder to just make Ling Bane work with the choke points you have at the 3rd and 4th base for Aqueron. It can be hard to just brute force your way in. We do see the Hellions, as always, being a little bit pesky. And then, you know, the harass units here for Aqueron, it's going to be hard for this creep spread to get out and get stuff done. Now we do see the Banshees trying to find a little bit more damage, but they might just get 1 or 2 drones. But that's really all you want, and you got to be careful.
Yeah, definitely don't want to lose the Banshee. One of them very, very low here and getting close to the spore. Currently sitting at 8 hit points. The Queen, the game of cat and mouse does win for the Zerg in the end. But the Queen does go down, and now this Banshee has free reign. We have a pretty hefty fort starting to build up though for SortOf. He's starting to really get some Roaches and Ravagers. 6 more Ravagers on the way. Does look like this Banshee may also go down. Nope, 14 HP and a Dream. It will get out. And Aqueron's going to start dropping, and I like this. Against Roach Ravager, you know, they're not as quick as Lings. They can't get around as quick. There's no mutas yet to stop these drops. No, don't do that. I
will say, not to cut you out, but we do have another 8 racks coming out for Aqueron, so I do think he is going to be doing a very similar timing as last game, trying to break him on that 2-2 timing. I think he's going to group up, and we do see, you know, this is just a move to set up that 2-2 timing, pushing back some creep, forcing out some units. I will say this army, instead of just Ling Bane Muta, I don't mind it for SortOf. He's got to be careful. The files on top of it. That was close. That was close.
My heart. Can't take it.
I actually like the composition more for SortOf, though. Now we do see a handful of mutas. This mini Roach Ravager can make things a little bit hard for the Terran. Maybe file some of the tanks. You know, because once you deplete that tank count, the push really becomes a lot less scary. But it is going to be a massive 3-base push here from Aqueron versus SortOf, who on 82 workers, but making units, getting his upgrades, and he's going to have 2-2 probably as well for when this fight hits.
Yeah, and I think that's a big difference this game, right? Is the upgrades were on time for our Zerg player, and he is going to be able to keep up there. So the Banelings are going to be doing a lot more DPS. The Roach Ravager, actually the Roach Ravager won't be benefiting at all, so that's kind of, I guess, a good thing for Aqueron. Is the army right now is very heavy Roach Ravager. There's there's still 40 Lings, okay, and 17 Banelings, jeez. But the Roach Ravager are unupgraded in terms of damage, so of course the armor is benefited. So there is a bit of a risk here, and now we see that push coming, and it looks like, and I really like this from SortOf, he's going to try and flank, he's going to try and cut off reinforcements, and be a real nuisance into this 3rd base, where there is barely any defenses.
Yeah, this is really bad. Now Aqueron is deciding that, yeah, he's just got to go, and I do kind of like this call, because you don't want to bring your entire army home and give SortOf more time, but these Lings are doing so much work, just forcing it all in, and SortOf knows he is now completely all in. I'm a little bit concerned about these mutas going across the map. I think he just needs to hold this fight now. He's killed so many workers, and we do have Aqueron trying to set up. The Ravagers pushing him back for now. There are 4 tanks. It is 2-2 versus 2-2, and we have the game-deciding fight coming up very shortly.
Yeah, the main is being completely ravaged here by SortOf. So right now what needs to happen is Aqueron needs to take the fight of his life, and he's doing a pretty good job so far, but all of the tanks, oh no, 2 still live. 2 tanks still surviving is going to be nice to phase off some of these Banelings, but he's not able to get the push. He's not able to move forward. He's now down to 47 workers. He's only producing Marines, no more workers. He knows he has to win the game with this. And I am a little bit concerned. Mutalisk now coming home as well. A few drones will go down. That's a nice start, but he needs to get these Banelings. Nice pick up there, hot pick up, saving as many of the Marines as he can. And now it is do or die for the Terran.
Yeah, just only 3 tanks left. Very nice counterattack. Kind of set up SortOf nicely. He knows if he just takes the fight now that he needs, he will win the game. He's got Banes, he's got Lings, he's got Ravagers, he's got Mutas. He's got the surround set up. He knows Aqueron is on a timer. He has to come up and come to him. There's no 4th base. This is it. It's one army versus the other. And there are 3 tanks. There are 2-2. The Marines trying to find some damage. A Baneling's getting nice connections to start off the fight. And SortOf just being very patient, very smart, knowing where he's at in this game. Knowing he has time to do the big fight. Coming in, Banelings, Lings, Mutas all over the place. And there looks like there's just so much SortOf. All the tanks go down. There's just Marines left. The Marines for this number of Banelings SortOf cleaning up the push. And with that, the game.
Yeah, SortOf is still up 30 drones, and sure, Aqueron managed to kill quite a lot and killed all the mutants, but he has nothing. And